Hello everyone, today we'll be going over the English opening. Let's get right into the video. This opening begins with C4, and this opening is similar to the London system in the sense that you have many different steps that you have to take, and these are developing steps and ideas that you do for the most part regardless of what black does, and these will set you off to having a nice position from which you can continue off book. So your ideas are, well, because mostly these bishops, they're trapped here, because with the English opening, these pawns don't get pushed till a fairly middle game, which means that these bishops will be trapped if they're kept where they are right now, which is why you're going to want to fianchetto your bishop or your light square bishop, and that's the first idea and goal that you have playing this English opening. So you're going to play this pawn here, pushing the pawn to g3, making room for g2 for the bishop, which will give your bishop a much better diagonal. Okay, so your first idea is g3, g2. You also have ideas of going c3, developing a knight, and already you see how controlling this will be on these two squares right here. You're going to have three pieces controlling this square, the top, or d5, and you're going to have two pieces controlling this square right here, which can be very useful for you later on. Black also has two main lines and ideas that black will go for. One idea is going more kind of like the Indian defense and fianchettoing black's dark square bishop on this diagonal. And the other idea that I'm going to be covering is just playing this move, saying, you know what, this pawn, it controls a little bit of the center, but it can't touch this spot here, so why don't I put myself in the center and, put myself in the center. And we'll be covering both of these scenarios in this video, and let's begin with the Indian defense. So the Indian defense, it's not necessarily particular to the English opening, but for the most part, it's this idea of having a knight here and fianchettoing your bishop. Quickly, I wanted to mention that fianchettoing a bishop is also good because it allows you to castle fairly early on in the game, especially once you move the knight to this square. So let's begin. If black plays this move, not only being ready to put the bishop on this square here after this move and castle, but also just restricting white from playing this move. And although maybe it doesn't look that appealing, it will be incredible for white to be able to play that move. It will get so much control for white. And against this, you're going to bring out your own knight. Like I said, main ideas, and it doesn't really matter what black does. You're going to go ahead and fianchetto your bishop. Additionally, after this, you have ideas of moving your knight here and castling kingside. So after black castles, like I said, getting ready to castle kingside. And this game, it's a very passive game, especially if black goes for the Indian defense, because no players have pieces on these squares, but both players have, are controlling these squares one way or another. So it's very passive, and it restricts the players from moving to these squares, which is why black is going to play this move, now preparing to move here and having a supporting structure. You're just going to go ahead and ignore this and castle your own to the king side, obviously. And from here, it doesn't matter if black plays this move right here and gets a little bit of the center. You can go ahead and equal that with this move here and play a relatively symmetrical game. This is already a fairly symmetrical game, and so you can go ahead and have ideas of playing this move here. And this is a great setup for white. There's many ideas. You control many of the squares in the center, although you don't have a piece on the center yet. Like I said, next move you can play either this move, although this does block in this bishop, so I would instead play a move like this. Still very passive, gets a nice pawn structure, and allows this bishop to go here and be useful pinning this knight, which will allow you to then play a move like this move here much more confidently, because there will be no piece attacking it. So this is one way to go around the English opening if black plays the kind of Indian passive defense. But black, one other thing that you might encounter very often is this move, saying, like I said, hey, nothing's attacking this, why don't I play it? And this is often kind of considered as the opposite of the Sicilian with the Sicilian, you have this and then this, so it's pretty straightforward why this is considered the opposite of the Sicilian. And to this, you're simply going to continue developing normally. And in that sense, it's very close to the London system in the idea that it doesn't matter what black does. For the most part, you have these kind of 4 or 5 tasks that you want to do, and then you can actually start thinking about, okay, you know what, how can I now improve my position? But for the beginning couple of moves, it's very standard stuff. And yeah, I'll show you some of the standard stuff. Now, that was not the line I was going to show you, because although black does play this, the most common move right now is this, knight moving over here to f6. And now let's go ahead and continue with the normal development. And you can see that even if the bishop does go here, and this is considered the best move according to Lichess database, but it's not a common move. In fact, there's 4 common moves before this, so it's not something you encounter often. But if you do, then as I just showed you, you can continue, not there, sorry, you can continue playing normally as you would. It doesn't threat anything. And if anything, maybe it'll even help you later on having this bishop outside here, where you can, like I said, do maybe some nice traps like this. Although the knight can always stop it and protect you. But it's just an idea to keep in mind. But it doesn't matter what white does, or black does, you're just going to play normal developments. Obviously, if black offers a trade, then you can't just play normal developments. But here, you have 2 real main options: taking or moving this knight here, pressuring this pawn here. Saying if you take number 1, I mean, you're taking a nice center pawn for yourself for my outer pawn, but also I'll go ahead and capture this, so the material will be even, but I'll have 2 center pawns, you'll have none. So this is one good move. But also you can just capture, and after black captures back, just continue. You can capture, by the way. But this, unfortunately, will leave you in a position where black has the only developed pieces. So instead of this, I would prefer, like I said, playing this move here, which then targets this pawn. So if black captures, you capture this, and 2 nice pawns for black's no center pawns, and material is even. And after you play that move, let's say you capture, even if you capture. So here I would suggest, by the way, not to capture, like I just showed you. If you capture, then you're taking your only developed piece, and now you have no developed pieces. So instead, I would play this move here. So then, if black captures, you can go ahead and capture with this pawn. And although it's not the greatest pawn structure, it is a pawn structure. That's all right. You have a lot of pawns on this side and this isolated pawn that eventually you will want to push and trade off with this pawn here. And you have main ideas, like I always talked about, of knight moving here, castling kingside, and now you can even start pushing these pawns a lot more confidently and have a nice pawn chain in the center. So this is one position that's reached a lot, and you need to understand it. But it works in your favor for the most part. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this introduction to the English opening. Subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next chess video.